Good morning. This is Robbie Goodman here on Positive Strokes, Staying Clean. And I'm so blessed to be here with you to share about recovery. And today, I want to talk about remember how people that you did not know rallied around you and helped you through recovery, got you where you are today, loved you until you couldn't until you could love yourself. They were there for you through them hard times, cleaning the wreckage of your past. So let's share recovery. Let's help those that are still suffering. What was freely given to me, I freely give to others because recovery saved my life. I'm not ashamed to share my strength and my hopes and my failures on social media because recovery saved my life. I'm not that person that was in active addiction because recovery saved my life. So I share my strength and hopes with others so they can have the caliber of recovery that recovery has given me by working on themselves and making themselves better. Because I don't know what you need. When you work on yourself, you'll know and understand what you really need and what you really do not need. It's interesting that some receive the blessings of recovery and they thrive in recovery, but they have little time to help others that need support and love in recovery. I think we don't want to be reminded of the pain and the chaos that addiction has caused us in our active addiction and the things we've done. But I believe that as I share my pain of the past, it still hurts, but it doesn't hurt where it causes me to do damage to myself and others. The pain is still there, but I can live with it because I'm learning to live life on life's terms, one day at a time. The program of recovery is a beautiful thing. And I get joy and happiness when the information that I learned about my addiction and the information I learned in recovery to share to others, that it helps somebody. I get the joy inside my heart that I'm helping somebody live their best life, for them to find their way in recovery, to find what works for them, what they need to do to make their lives better. That's a great feeling that I have on the inside. The interesting thing is that addiction destroyed my life for 40 years because I allowed it to con me, to manipulate me, to do things that I should have not done to myself and others. But recovery opened my eyes. It opened my eyes and says, together we can, by ourselves we cannot. I understand that I can't survive in this world that we live in without the help from others. It's impossible to survive in the world by yourself without the help of others. Because there's going to come a point in time that you're going to need assistance and help. You cannot survive alone. And by me understanding that, I understand that I can't survive in recovery if I'm not with well grounded people that are rooted in recovery. If they're not rooted in recovery, if they're not living the life and the course of life that I chose to live, then they're in direct situation of hurting me and leading me down the rabbit hole once again. Just because I'm clean and sober, just because I choose a certain walk in my life, doesn't mean that other people are going to agree or support what I believe in. And that's okay, because I believe everybody has to find their way to live their best life. So you have to work on yourself, find out which is important to you, what's going to make you a better person, and what's going to make you able to live your best life. You know, there was a time when I thought, when you had, since I was brought up poor, and when I was in a position where I had money, and I was spending anywhere from $3,000 to $7,000 a day, I thought that that was the highest you can go. That was the most enjoyment and what life has to offer for you. But I realized that even though I was doing that, I wasn't happy on the inside. I realized that the people that associated with me didn't care about me, and some of them didn't even like me. They was only concerned about what I could do, what I could give, and that I had dope, cocaine. I was catered to so I could spend more. I was catered to so I can have parties. But nobody was truly really concerned about Robert. So my life was lonely because they didn't care about me. They cared about what I could do. They cared that I had cocaine. They cared that they could get some. And they would, when they would run out, they would go by any means necessary to get more from me, to do whatever it takes for me to say, here. And I realized that the people were not my friends. I realized that I was truly alone in my act of addiction because it wasn't about me, it was about what I had and what I could do. But when I came into recovery, ashamed of what I did to myself, ashamed that I duped myself for 40 years, ashamed that I knocked myself all the way down and was in a position that I hated the most of being poor without no money. What I feared the most, I became. And as the shame made me hide myself in a way, but recovery told me that that wasn't going to go down like I thought it was going to go down. People like me opened me up. People like me said it's okay that you feel the way you do. It's okay of what you're going through. But we're here right here, and we're going to walk in recovery together. You're going to work on yourself, Robert, and I'm going to work on myself to make myself better. And we're going to hold each other up through the hard times in recovery. The commitment in recovery for those helping others was off the charts. Amazed me that people could genuinely care about another human being. And even though I did the things that I did and I shared them, that they didn't hate me, but they loved me until I could love myself. People that I did not know, that I just met, called me brother, called me family. The way I was treated in my early recovery was something that I was looking for all my life. People that genuinely cared, that was genuinely honest, that didn't hold my past or my situation against me. I was able to finally be Robert. I was finally able to look at myself and what I did to myself in active addiction. And not feel ashamed. And by me not feeling ashamed about my actions in addiction, I was allowed to share the pain. I was allowed to let it go. I was able to give it to a power greater than me, which restored me to sanity. And all the pain and hurt that I suppressed, I opened the door to release that pain, which caused me to cry for hours at a time, uncontrollably, unable to stop, because I suppressed it 40 years worth of pain inside me. It took time to build a life in recovery. It took time to deal with my personal issues, to overcome them, to grow in recovery. I had to admit that I was powerless over cocaine that my life had become unmanageable. I had to admit that the drug suppressed the problem, but became my prison because I used it to escape from every bad situation that ever happened to me. I felt that by suppressing it, I was overcoming it. But recovery taught me that I need to feel and go through the hurt and the pain of the decision that I've made or the bad things that has happened to me. I must work through these things. I'm not supposed to suppress it. I'm supposed to forgive those who have harmed me and that I harmed myself by my actions and my deeds. And when I chose the method of recovery, of these methods of helping myself get through it, I went through a lot of pain reliving situations that has happened in my life and forgiving those who have harmed me and forgave myself for the things I've done to myself and others. And that was the hardest thing to do because when I started to look at myself in sober eyes, and not the disease of addiction controlling me for another drink or a drug, and I looked at myself, I truly, truly hurt on the inside. I truly started to change. I didn't want to be that person that addiction made me out to be, that caused me to be that person, hurting myself and others. Recovery showed me the damage I did to myself and others. Which I freely gave of myself to help others in recovery. So all that I'm sharing is that God granted me the serenity to accept the things I could not change. I can't change what I did in the past, but I can change what I do today. Also, it teaches me that I am truly blessed that people in recovery found it in their heart to lead me in the path of recovery, to help me deal with my issues in recovery so I can learn to live my best life. It was freely given to me out of the kindness and love out of their hearts. So I freely express my recovery, my ups, my downs, my failures with you. Yes, I know that you will look at some of my videos and the videos, they go in and out. That's because of my system, my Wi-Fi system, the download system. But if you can't see me in the video, but you can hear, listen, because I'm trying to make a point. I'm trying to get you to understand something. I learned in my recovery that information saved my life. In the battles of life that I have overcome, information has saved my life. Information. So give freely what was freely given to you. Because each person that's recovering from addiction is a hero. To have a story to share that will save someone's life. Each person that came out of active addiction and is living their life in recovery has a story to save someone's life. Someone will hear their story and it will change their behavior. They will understand and they will get recovery. And you will be instrumental in saving someone's life by sharing your story openly and honestly. I share on social media because I'm in the business of helping and saving lives. It's not about me. It's not about my story. It's about saving lives. I don't want nobody to suffer in active addiction like I did. I suffered for 40 years. And the greatest suffering I believe I had is when I had plenty of dope and plenty of money. That was my worst suffering. Why? Because the whole time that I lived in my addiction at that particular time was a fantasy. It wasn't real. It was a fantasy. That the money and dope allowed me to create a fantasy and for me to believe this fantasy. I was duped and I was conned and I was manipulated. The honest thing that ever happened to me is the last 15 years of my addiction. When I didn't have that money anymore, when I didn't have all that dope anymore, when I was fighting to get dope, to means to get more, to get tired of that lifestyle and stop and then start all over again. Thought I could control my situation. But at that particular time, in my active addiction, that last 15 years was hell. But I think the most damage done to me was when I had plenty of dope and plenty of money, because I was believing what people was telling me. And they was telling me these things because they wanted some money, they wanted some dope, they wanted me to do something, they wanted something. And none of it was from the heart. Every situation was an ulterior motive behind it. And the painfulest thing I believe in living life is living by yourself, because the people around you don't care about you, don't love you, and don't have no concern about you. But they present themselves that they do because they want you to do what they want you to do. This is Robert Goodman for Positive Strokes. And the point I'm trying to make here is that In recovery, it was freely given to me. Freely. I created good, sound relationships, meaningful relationships. Things were done to me to help me in my recovery was done honestly from the heart. They gave me tools to help me live my best life. They gave me tools so I can learn more about Robert, so I can make less mistakes, so I can understand Robert better. They gave it freely to me. What people done in recovery for me is unbelievable. And the interesting thing is, when I had the money in the dope, I was willing to give a lot of it away just to be a part of on the real, to be connected with people on the real, not fake, but real. And that never happened until I came into recovery. I had honest relationship with people when I came into recovery. So I love recovery. I love being a part of recovery. I understand that the people in recovery is about helping others find their way in recovery. So I hope that the amount of recovery you have, you share with others. Your story can save someone's life. Give freely to others so they can find their way in recovery, so they can live their best lives, so they can find out what works for them, what they need to do to make their lives better. Each person in recovery has a story to save someone's life. And I hope that you share your strength and your hope with others, whether it's at a meeting, on YouTube, Facebook, wherever. I believe that your story can help so many people on social media. They have private groups that you can be a part of, that you can share your strength and your hopes. There are public platforms that you can share your strength and hopes. The point I'm trying to make is your story will save someone's life. Are you willing to help someone in active addiction find recovery? This is Robert Goodman for Positive Stroke, wishing you a great Saturday. And remember, only you can live your best life if you keep the focus on yourself. Only you can help others if you share your strength and hope with others. You have a great and wonderful day.